नीयत जो अलमदारे वफा कर निकले, कुन की नीयत जो अलमदारे वफा कर निकले, फिर फ़कत एक क्या हर कोई कलंदर निकले। कुन की नीयत जो अलमदारे वफा कर निकले, फिर फ़कत एक या हर कोई कलंदर निकले। कुन की नीयत जो अलमदारे वफा कर निकले, फिर फ़कत एक क्या हर कोई कलंदर निकले। कुन की नीयत जो अलमदारे वफा कर निकले, फिर फ़कत एक क्या हर कोई कलंदर निकले। ऐसा मुमकिन ही नहीं नाम लिया हो अकबर, ऐसा मुमकिन ही नहीं नाम लिया हो अकबर। और यूसुफ से वो बंदा ना हंसी तर निकले, और यूसुफ से वो बंदा ना हंसी तर निकले। हो मिस्र जैसा उंगलियों का हाल करबल में, हो मिस्र जैसा उंगलियों का हाल करबल में। जौन चेहरे के जो पर्दे को लट कर निकले, जंग है दार पे मीसम की ज़बां से इसकी, जंग है दार पे मीसम की ज़बां से इसकी। अब तो इम्कान ही नहीं बच के खंजर निकले। नक्श है नाम हसन मेरे कलम पर मीसम, नक्श है नाम हसन मेरे कलम पर मीसम। जोर में ते कोई कैसे बराबर निकले। सलावत। नारे हैदरी
يا علي يا الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. جزاكم الله ألف الجزاء. Inshallah, may Allah bless you. Inshallah, give you the ability to we'll do ziyarah. Inshallah. Yes, and I'll get. Majuri, inshallah. Allah may accept your amal. Inshallah, give us the opportunity to visit Sayyida and be amongst her followers. Inshallah. Sayyidina, may Allah give you the blessing and the elevated status, inshallah, for you driving to our community. Inshallah, give salama to be back to your hometown, inshallah. Jazakumullah. Inshallah, we'll commence our program with the blessings of Muhammad and wa ali Muhammad and your request to the member to give us a few words. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا، رحمة للعالمين، أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد. والصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة، وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا، حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. All praise and glory belongs to Allah, the most kind, the most merciful, the one who has blessed us with an opportunity, and the biggest awareness that we have is of our own self. If we don't have the awareness of self, we will not be aware of anything else. And even the awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stems from the awareness of self. It is in this awareness that we live our lives. And the things that are around us, when we become aware of them, we tend to think that's who we are. So if you become aware of cold, you kind of think you are cold, or you're not cold. You become aware of the car needing gas, you say, I need gas. And you don't need gas. You become aware of food, you say, I need food. Or some people become food. But this awareness of self, getting attentive to the things that are there, which are, a person going through 70, 80 years of life, the number of the things that they are going to look at, feel, touch, hear, see, the thoughts that come to our mind, 70,000 thoughts a day. The number is just enormous. You can't really count it. So it becomes difficult for a person to actually know who they are. And because it's a difficult task, it's been associated to the same task as knowing your Lord. And the famous tradition which all of us have memorized, that man arafa nafsahu faqad arafa rabbah. But to make things easier, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the finished products. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us perfect human beings. Beings of light that have reached that status of self-awareness. And by being self-aware, they are aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one of those beings that we are here to celebrate of the blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed upon all of humanity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave a daughter to Imam Ali alayhi salam and Bibi Fatima. And a daughter who would beautify her father, Zainab. I don't know if you've ever put your mind to it, but a being like Imam Ali alayhi salam, what more can you think of beauty? What can amplify? What can become a source, even to increase an inch? That beauty, that is Imam Ali alayhi salam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him someone who becomes a source of his beauty. The mind just boggles, like you just can't comprehend that what a being Bibi Zainab is, that will become a source of beauty for Imam Ali alayhi salam. Although it is a blessing for all of humanity, but a lot of times we take Bibi Zainab as an example for our sisters and mothers and daughters. Bibi Zainab sallallahu alayha, in her soul, in her character, in her being, is an example to all of humanity. Not specific to our sisters or mothers or daughters or wives. Because courage does not have a gender. courage is neither male or female. Courage is a quality which manifests either in a male or a female. But the quality in itself is not specific to a male or a female, to an old or a child, to a scholar or a non-scholar, to a doctor or not a doctor, to an engineer or not an engineer, to an IT person or not an IT person. It's not specific. A 13-year-old child can manifest that quality. And we have the example of Hazrat Qasim al-Satus, right? When he was asked, how do you find death in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He said, I find it to be sweeter than honey. We find it in the children of Hazrat Muslim. We find it, Karbala is full of those examples, and the rest as well. Even in today's world that we live, you can find those examples. But it requires some preliminaries, some purification, some effort for this quality of courage to be manifested in a person. It's not like you don't do anything and then all of a sudden you're going to manifest courage. या आप कुछ भी ना करें और कुछ ना करके आप बहादुर बन जाएं या शुजात दिखा दें. शुजात बनना पड़ता है. You have to become a courageous person. Meaning, you have to do those preliminaries to be able to have that quality manifest in you, and then, of course, it will project to the people who are around you. Now, what is courage and what is not is not a topic that I want to touch, because it'll take too long. But maybe I can just make one sentence and move forward. Whenever you intend to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have the manifestation of courage. Just in your niyat, if you intend to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this intention is the manifestation of courage. Understood? Don't give me blank looks when I say understood. Yes? So I'll repeat it just in case. When you intend to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this intention is the manifestation of courage. When you intend to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is a manifestation of cowardness. Every time, and I did not say you acted upon that intention. Right? मैंने ये नहीं कहा कि आपने उस नियत को अमल में बदल दिया. मैंने ये नहीं कहा. मैं कह रहा हूँ कि जब आपने नियत की, खुदा की इताअत की, ये नियत खुद तजल्ली है किस चीज़ की? शुजात की. Because intending is also an action. It doesn't happen on its own. Right? Now, anyone who obeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if we can make a conclusion, anyone who obeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a courageous person, and anyone who disobeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a cowardly person. Now, this definition is very different of courage that you and I have, especially the youths. They think that someone who can beat up like 100 people, they're a very courageous, strong person. That's not courage. ये हमारे यहाँ के जो दूसरों को चुप करा देता है बड़ा शुजा इंसान है, बहुत बहादुर है, कोई उसके आगे ठहर नहीं सकता। ये बेचारा बहादुर जिसको हम समझते हैं, उसकी ज़बान उसको जहन्नुम में घसीट के लेके जा रही। Or we think like, if I'm a brave person, shuja, courageous, then I gotta walk like this. Build, go to gym 6 days a week, in the terms of the youth. A person who's jacked is a courageous person, strong person. A bodybuilder, for example, is a strong, courageous person. If you look at the actual definition of being strong or courageous, it's actually a bodybuilder is a cowardly person. Because it got stuck so much into the superficial that is projected in a mirror, nothing else, that he thought that is strength. When in reality, becoming a narcissist or becoming focused on the shape of their body and living a life religiously just to submit to that figure is nothing but weakness and cowardice. Or our definition is someone who has army bases in 170 countries, who have the nuclear power, who can bring out the foreign policy and change any government that they want, or implement a domestic policy which will favor any of those corporations that are there, is a superpower. When you actually open that concept up, you will realize that it's nothing but weakness and cowardice. It's nothing but insecurities. When you're insecure about someone or something or yourself, you'll try to compensate for that insecurity. And when you compensate for that insecurity, you build an ego. If you want to know the definition of ego, ego is the sum of all the insecurities that a person has. If you're insecure about your body, your image, you're insecure about your job, you're insecure about your family, insecure about your character, insecure about your education, insecure about money, insecure about power, insecure about the more insecurities a person is going to have, the more arrogant that person is going to be. So when you look at it that way, the most insecure person becomes the most arrogant, and in the world we live in, we think is the strongest. And we look up to them. Whereas they're actually the weakest. Arrogance is the complete, comprehensive, apparent language that says, I am weak. Instead of looking up to that person as strong, we should pity them. हमें उस पर तरस आना चाहिए कि यार देखो ये लालच में फंसा हुआ है, ये कंटेंटमेंट नहीं रखता, ये अपने बेचारा किसी भी जगह पे खुश नहीं होता. We should pity that person. Rather than pitying that person, we make them as our role model, that let's all become that way. Although I said that we were not going to go into the definition of courage as a topic, but just a few words. So if you want to now see who is courageous, this is the definition. Therefore, by that definition, the most courageous Haidar is Imam Ali. By that definition, Haidar is Hazrat Abul Fadl al-Abbas. Right? Haidar is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Haydar is Hazrat Musa alayhi salatu. This word Haydar is not specific for Imam Ali alayhi salatu. Anyone who is obedient to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, submits, is a courageous person, can be called Haydar. Okay? No. Yeah. Because he said Nara, I'm going to ask you a question. I mean, whatever I'll say in Urdu, I'll translate as well. So don't worry, you're not going to lose anything. The people who don't understand Urdu. मैं स्पेसिफिकली उस आगा से नहीं कह रहा जिसने कि नारा लगवाया, मैं सबसे पूछूं. I'm asking everybody. Okay? What does Nara Haidari mean? मसलन उर्दू में कह देते हैं ये जो नारा हैदरी हम करते रहते हैं इसका मतलब क्या है? अगर कोई आपसे पूछ ले, बचपन से सुनते आ रहे, the people who are not from, let's say, Indo-Pak, if they are visiting our majalis or milad, they always hear it, Nara Haidari, and they all know what to say, Ya Ali. But I'm not sure if any one of them have ever asked you, what does it mean? And the one who are also been saying it, हमसे भी किसी ने नहीं पूछा कि ये नारा हैदरी है क्या, मतलब क्या है इसका? जोश की अलामत. ये अब हमारी अपनी तारीफ अब हम बनाएंगे. We will make it. Sign of energy. Okay. Like we can now brainstorm on it. Muslim. कोई definition अब निकालनी पड़ेगी. We have to come up with it. Someone's asked us a question. The Nara Haidari, yes, it is a question because there is a reply required. Nara basically, now I'll translate it. Nara is something of a slogan that you say it out loud. But Haidar is the answer. Haidar means courage. Haidari means someone who is courageous. Ya is Ya in Nisba. Masalan, Khomeini, this Ya tells you that he's from Khomein. Pakistani, Masalan. There's no pay in Arabic. That means they're from Pakistan. Right? So, Haidar, yani from, this Ya is saying, no, not from Haidar. From bravery, right? You want to say it? Who is the bravest, What is the slogan of bravery? This would be the right translation. And then when we say, who is the slogan of bravery? We say, Ya Ali. Right? Now, reason why we do that, okay, we can say energy or Josh, but it's actually when you feel cowardness inside. Like, Shaitan has come, is telling you to do ghibat. Shaitan has come, is telling you to obey your lowly desires. Your ego has come and is saying, put this person down, you're better than them. Right? When that happens, we feel cowardness. Why? Because I told you, when you intend to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is a manifestation of cowardness. जब आपकी ये हालात पैदा होती है ना कि जिसके अंदर खुदा की नाफरमानी होगी, उस वक़्त इंसान के अंदर बुज़दिली पैदा होती है. तो हम उस बुज़दिली को दूर करने के लिए कहते हैं नारे हैदरी और फिर या अली. English translate. So when we feel that cowardness, we say that we want to let go of that cowardness. We want to become brave. We take the name of Ya Ali. Now this is not just for majlis or milad. This is to tool, this is an opportunity, this is a source, this is a wasila. This is means for all of us. That if in the morning at Fajr time, you don't feel like getting up, this is the time to say it. जब फजर पे मसलन आँख नहीं खुल रही, शैतान भी बॉदर कर रहा है, नफ्स भी, उस वक़्त नारा यानी कहें नारे हैदरी या अली, फिर आप देखें कैसे आदमी आप उठते। कभी ट्राई नहीं किया ना? Never tried it. Have you ever tried it? No. So in the morning, when you don't feel like getting up, with all, don't wake people up. So, okay. सारे घर को जगा दिया नारा हैदरी कर, in a good enough voice. Say it inside if you have to. Nara Haidari. Yeah, you'll feel that you have courage now to fight against your lowly desires and also to fight against shaitan. For the youths, if you are afraid that you're going to commit the sin of your eyes, that is the time to say Nara Haidari. This can become your source, means for you, whenever you feel cowardness, for you to become strong again, for you to become courageous again. So this is our litmus test for me and for you. If you want to know if you're brave, if you want to know if you're courageous, then see how much you are in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just that much you are courageous. And whatever, maazallah, is the disobedience, that is how cowardly we are, and we can change ourselves to become courageous. In salawat. So Bibi Zainab is a role model for all of humanity. And only one of the traits that manifested inside of her and was projected in throughout her life. I mentioned that for you in a few words. For my sisters, if you want to see that same definition that I've given to you, and if you're obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you're wearing the Islamic dress, that is your sign of courage. If you're able to wear the Islamic dress, and I don't mean just the scarf on the head. Some of our sisters, they pretend to be courageous. They're not courageous. वो बहादुर नहीं है, लेकिन they pretend. Just the scarf on your head, and then the rest of your dress, non-Islamic, is not hijab. It's not hijab. Listen, you have the scarf on, and then you have like jeans that are showing your figure. You have top that is showing your figure. That's not an Islamic dress. That's not hijab. Hijab means something that hides. Hijab, the word in Arabic, means curtain, means a barrier, means something that hides. What does it hide? It hides your figure. So if it's not hiding your figure, it's not hijab. It's not about just hiding your hair. So if you're wearing a proper Islamic dress, that is a sign of your courage. And no matter what happens in the world, no matter what happens, because some of our sisters, of whatever is happening, and it's not new, it's always been there, they're becoming cowardly, and they're letting go of their Islamic dress. As a strong person, a courageous person stands against the world, not complies with the world. Why? Because in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if the whole world is going that way, but the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going this way, the person is going to go this way. Not become cowardly and start going that way. For my brothers, just having a beard, the easiest thing. And sometimes it's just even is fashion. You like go to the barber, pay $40 to your beard. Suleiman, I don't know what they call them. Yeah. You pay $40, $50, you get a beard, with line and I don't know, with razor, the open razor, and then. That's not what the beard is there for. Beard is there that if you have one, it not only keeps you grounded, but it makes you modest, it makes you humble, it makes you mature. Not just physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Now beards are becoming source of immaturity. Wasn't going and paying $40 to maintain your beard that you could do with a trimmer at home. That's immaturity. Or a person has a white beard, like mine, white beard. I still have some hints of black though. White beard, and when you look at their character, the way that they're acting, even a 5-year-old would say, Baba, mature up. So I'm fighting on things that even kids won't fight on. But they have a beard, like even a bigger one. When you have, the white hair starts coming, it's supposed to keep you modest and humble. When you look in the mirror, you see like, his white hair are coming. I'm closer now to my grave. इन सफेद बालों की शर्म खा लो यार. कब्र में यहाँ तक बंदा आया हुआ है और उसकी सोचें ऐसी हैं जैसे अभी कब्र के पाँव भी नहीं रखा. ख्वाहिशात वो हैं कि जैसे अभी किसी ने कब्र पे पाँव भी ना रखा हो और यहाँ तक कब्र में. It was supposed to keep you grounded. And when you see these white, so what we do, we get kala kola. I don't know, kala kola used to be back home. Whatever, like men's hair color, we color it. So we're not reminded every time we look in the mirror that you are here in the cover. Instead of being reminded you're here, maybe I'm here. That was not the point. And for the people who don't have one, it's even more sad. Because you have to put effort to make a shave. And this is something that grows on its own. How much more easier of a task do you want as an obligation? Wudu is harder. You have to get up and have to go to the water and get wudu. Namaz is hard. You have to have your proper, jism has to be tired, clothes have to be tired, khums has to be taken out of your house. We think namaz is just like, haan pe jagah meli khade hoke padh liya, aisa thodi. The place should not be ghasbi. So if in a place where the right of Bibi Fatima has not been given and it's not, there doing your namaz is problematic. Anyways, this is not the topic either. But having a beard is the easiest wajib you can do. Just let it grow. Yeah? You just let it grow. It comes out within a week or 10 days, it's there. Even for some people, they'll shave in the morning and they have a 5 o'clock shadow. Or 7 o'clock shadow. Right? There's one of the brothers, he came up to me, he goes, Aga, it's very difficult for me to keep a beard. I said, it's okay. I'll tell you something. When you pick up the razor, say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim and shave. I saw him after a couple of days or the next, he had like a beard. I said, what happened? He goes, every time I picked up the razor by saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, I couldn't pick it up. Because how can I begin and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His name of Rahman and Rahim to give me the strength to commit something which is haram? I couldn't do it. So, it's not about, this courage that I'm talking about. It's not specific for the brothers. It's not specific just for the sisters. It can be in an old person. It can be in a young person. Okay? It can be in a man. It can be in a woman. The reason why I brought this up is because a lot of the times our sisters, they have to work a lot harder and they have to become a lot more courageous to be able to maintain the Islamic dress. And for the brothers, a lot of the times it's easier. But the harder a task is, the more you get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not just that you get a lot more reward, you get more closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bibi Zainab salam showed courage in all aspects of her life. And another one which we all know of her quality is that she was an alima. And an alima that was not taught by an alima or an alim. Right? So you have a scholar, and when you have a scholar, you ask them, okay, who's their teachers? You have this whole list of them. غير مول. Someone who's a scholar without any teachers. That's amazing. Right? It's amazing. Because it doesn't go by with our definition of an alim or an alima. Again, ilm is not the topic, but just like how I spoke a little bit about courage, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, talk a little bit about what an alim means or an alima means. Our definition is someone who's scholarly, has gone through books. That's not the definition of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our definition is someone who's wearing this. And if you're not wearing an imamah, then you're half or not even close, even though you're wearing a imamah. हमारे यहाँ जो तारीफ़ है एक आलिम की या आलिमा की और वो तारीफ़ जो खुदा के पास है बहुत फ़र्क है. उस फ़र्क को इंशाल्लाह I'll try to tell you how far it is. For us, a great alim is, whenever you come across a person, it's like, how many years? Then depending on that answer, the person who asked the question will consider the person alim. For us, an alim is someone who is a good orator. We give him respect. Have nothing scholarly. He's just an entertainer who memorized even like written speeches. Doesn't even write his own. And I'm not talking about someone who has become very famous. Speeches are written for him. He's not, he can't even write his own speeches. Whereas a good entertainer, orator, memorizes, and then pretends to be very scholarly. Then we will say an alim is someone who can fill the hall. Now people don't come for Bibi Zainab. People don't come for any of the imams. And I don't want to repeat myself, but I've been saying this to you before. Remember when we spoke about Imam Hassan Askari's birthday? When I came into the park, I was like the second car, and I was wondering what's going to happen today. And I started reciting, there was these two brothers. But if you had, like for example, one of the big names in English or whatever, whoever becomes famous on the social media or is known as an orator, if you were to advertise that person, you won't have space here. But then in return, you're going to have to give him like $3,000, $4,000 an hour. It's a good business. You give him $4,000, the amount of people is going to bring in with the chanda that's going to be collected, it's like 10%, no problems. Therefore, majority of the centers, they do that. And unfortunately, those are the people who are cutting the roots of Islam. And they're diverting the youths in the direction where they will stay Muslim from outside, but inside they'll be worse than an atheist. Our definitions are this. If there's anything else you can tell me. Who we consider an alim. The titles again are given by people. Imagine this title. I only have 5 or 6 minutes left. This title given as Hujjatul Islam. Hujjat means proof of Islam. Proof of Islam means that your existence. When people look at, they convert and become a Muslim. That's what it means. और आज के हुज्जतुल इस्लाम ऐसे उनको देख के जो मुसलमान है वही फिर जाता है कि मुझे नहीं है इस्लाम चाहिए. Hujjatul Islam means that you have a character, a persona. You have the manifestation of the qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the point where alone your existence becomes a proof against people on the Day of Judgment that Islam was the right religion. That's what that title means. Manifestation of the qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yani you are Shafi. A sick person comes to you like this, the cure. You become proof. The asa of Hazrat Musa is a proof, is a hujjat of Islam. Quran is a hujjat of Islam. The miracles of the prophets were the hujjat of Islam. That Islam is the right religion. The hand of Hazrat Musa was. Now you tell me. Our definition and the actual thing. Well, maybe a lot of these Hujjatul Islams are proof that worldly greed is definitely a place where a person can sink that low, they can even sell the blood of Imam Hussain. ये उसकी हुज्जत है कि इंसान इतना गिर सकता है कि हज़रत अली असगर का खून बेच देगा वो. उसकी ये हुज्जत है कि जब बोलियां लगेंगी ऑक्शन में कि कौन उसको पैसा ज़्यादा देगा उधर जाके पढ़ेगा। ये हुज्जत है उस चीज़ की, ये दलील है कि इंसान इतना गिर सकता है। इस्लाम की नहीं है वो दलील। So what is the definition of a scholar of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? In the Quran he says that in my slaves, among my slaves, only the ulama have the state of khashiyat. Meaning, and I'll explain khashiyat if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills. Meaning the criteria of an alim in the Holy Quran is the khashiyat of Allah. If there is no khashiyat ilahi, then by the definition of a scholar in the Holy Quran, that person is not a scholar. And what? Khashiyat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we just go by it. Khashiyat mustn't fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Move on. Khushu is a state that a person finds when they actually see the greatness of Allah. To give you an example, if you could visit Muslim as a personal meeting with Imam Khamli, you could go and you would be in one room with him. And when you're in that room, when you see that greatness, when you feel that existence, when you feel that light, when you feel that spirituality, the state of humbleness, humility, and fear that you're going to have, that is khashiyah. But what were the conditions? You had to be in his presence. You had to be actually see him. You actually be able to feel his spirituality. It's not about words. ये थोड़ा हुआ कोई और एग्जाम्पल दे दे. No, it's not really. You might get something out of this example. If not, then we can give you another one. When the person is on death row, and they're going to be punished. When that person is walking, that dead man walking mile that they have. In the prisons, they have this one hallway. And when that person is walking, sometimes their feet cannot go forward. They need support from both sides because they cannot walk. The state in their existence is such of fear, of khashiyat, is such they cannot take a step. When we get to that place and they see that chair, or they see that bed where the injection is going to be given to them. Me describing it is not going to produce that thing. Me learning in the books is not going to produce that thing. It's for that person to feel in that position. So who's an alim? That when they did wudu, they shook as if leaves shake when the trees shake. Imam Hassan alayhi salam जब वज़ू करते थे when he used to look at the water of wudu, his color would change. He would become pale. And he would do wudu shaking And when he would stand for prayers, his whole body would shake. That's khashiyat. He's feeling the existence of Allah. He knows the greatness is in front of him. He can see. He feels it. And that experience produced that result. Every Imam. You look at every Imam's condition in Salah. Imam Ali, Imam Jafar, any Imam. They all had the same. Their whole body would shake. The color would change. They would cry. Ulama are supposed to be waris of Ahlul Bayt and of Rasulullah. They're supposed to be inheritors. In regular inheritance, when a person that you inherit from dies, you get the inheritance. ऐसे ही ना कि जिससे आपको विरासत में कुछ मिलना है वो मरेगा तो आपको मिलेगी. ये विरासत वो है कि जिसको मिलनी उसको पहले मरना है फिर मिलेगी. This inheritance that ulama are the inheritors of the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt, they have to kill their lowly desires themselves first. They have to die inside. Then they get the inheritance from the Prophet and Ahlul. If they don't do that, they cannot get this inheritance. And if they are the inheritors, and as Imam Ali shook in the khashiyat of Allah, so would that alim shake. For a being like that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says is an alim or alima. Look at Bibi Zainab. With this definition, look at her. The Imam of the time, Imam son, Imam of the time, who has authority over all creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam of the time is saying to Bibi Zainab that when you pray namaz-e-shab, don't forget. Then when you are reciting, reading your night prayers, Bibi Zainab, remember me. I mean, where you have to be for the Imam of the time making a request. And they say that the way Bibi Zainab's condition in all of those hardships and circumstances, a lot of the nights she couldn't stand up and pray, so she would just sit down, but she never missed it. So if you want to see an alim, this is the criteria. And by that criteria, you also have the opportunity. अब इसमें क्या है कि सिर्फ जो हौजा जाता है उसके लिए नहीं है ये रास्ता, सिर्फ उसके लिए ये रास्ता नहीं है, ये रास्ता हम सब के लिए, आपके लिए भी. This path is for you to create that condition inside of yourself that you feel the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that your being shakes. You can do that. Even if you watch the documentaries about the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, about animals, about insect, and you look at that, the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, the way the system is, the way it's complex, and then by looking at that, if you yourself feel small in front of His greatness, is one baby step towards that. Towards what? The definition to become an alim by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ये रास्ता आप सबके लिए. If you can, if biology you study, and you know that I like some sciences. I haven't been talking about a lot of it, but if you're studying biology, the way the complexity of the human body is, when you read that and learn that, don't just do it to finish an exam or get a degree. In front of that greatness that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, find that humility inside. That's a baby step towards that. अगर आप physics पढ़ते हो, math पढ़ते हो, any of these sciences, when you see the complexity of the universe, when you see the complexity of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, find in yourself that humility, that being small. That is a step towards having the khashyat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's possible for every one of you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the courage to be able to intend and act in His obedience. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us an opportunity to find that humility inside, in front of His greatness. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the strength to recognize the blessing of Bibi Zainab. And for the day that we are celebrating, we ask her as our intercessor and our means to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that I'm sure her attention would be towards us, and in that attention, may Bibi Zainab will give us a gift on her birthday, because someone whose hands are empty cannot give a gift to someone whose hands are full. बीबी ज़ैनब की विलादत के दिन हम उनको कुछ नहीं दे सकते. जो सानिया ज़ाहरा हैं, जिनके पास सब कुछ है, उनको क्या देंगे हम उनसे चाहते हैं कि वो हमें कुछ. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make the coming of Yusuf Azhar as soon as possible. Make us from his slaves and followers.
Inshallah, brothers and sisters, very shortly we'll commence with Dua Tawassul. First of all, I just want to pray for Sheikh on his safe return to his hometown, and pray for, thank him and bless him, inshallah, these lessons that we can apply in our daily lives, and courage, and that meaning of courage, that qurbatan Allah ta'ala. May Allah bless him and elevate his status, inshallah. Before I go ahead, my brothers, did someone lose a phone? We'll give it back to you with a considerable donation to the center. I'm trying, Ali Zaidi, I'm trying to get the donations, not working. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inshallah, my brother Ghayur will recite Dua Tawassul. Remember all of us, remember our scholars, remember our parents, inshallah, in these on the special night, the night of Sayyida Zainab alayhi salam. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم اللهم إني أسألك وأتوجه إليك بنبيك نبي الرحمة محمد صلى الله عليه وآله يا أبا القاسم يا رسول الله يا إمام الرحمة يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا أمير المؤمنين يا علي بن أبي طالب يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا فعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا يا فاطمة الزهراء يا بنت محمد يا قرة عين الرسول يا سيدتنا ومولاتنا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيهة عند الله اشفعي لنا عند الله يا وجيهة عند الله اشفعي لنا يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها المجتبى يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك داء حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند يا أبا عبد الله يا حسين بن علي أيها الشهيد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها اشفع لنا يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن الحسين يا زين العابدين يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها الباقر يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا يا أبا عبد الله يا جعفر بن محمد أيها الصادق يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا موسى بن جعفر أيها الكاظم يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن موسى أيها الرضا يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها التقي الجواد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها
اشفع لنا يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن محمد أيها الهادي النقي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وصلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها الزكي العسكري يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا يا وسي الحسن والخلف الحجة أيها القائم المنتظر المهدي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها. يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. حاجات. يا ساداتي ومواليا إني توجهت بكم أئمتي وعدتي ليوم فقري وحاجتي إلى الله وتوسلت بكم إلى الله واستشفعت بكم إلى الله فاشفعوا لي عند الله واستنقذوني من ذنوبي عند الله فإنكم وسيلتي إلى الله، وبحبكم وبقربكم أرجو نجاة من الله، فكونوا عند الله رجائي يا سادتي وأولياء الله، صلى الله عليهم أجمعين، ولعن الله أعداء الله الظالمين من الأولين والآخرين، آمين رب العالمين.
Muhammad. Inshallah, we'll commence and we'll wrap up with Ziyarah. Just a quick reminder, inshallah, there's a program this Thursday with our speaker, Sayyid Zulfiqar Hassani. And then, inshallah, with the blessings of Allah, on Saturday, we have the bazaar starting at 2 o'clock. And then the board of directors and the offers team invite you for the 1-year anniversary program, dinner starting with Salat al-Maghribain. Inshallah, we'll wrap up with Ziyarah. متوجه زيارة. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا خديجة الكبرى، السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا وارث آدم الصفوة الله، السلام عليك يا وارث آدم الصفوة الله، السلام عليك يا وارث نوح النبي الله، السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله، السلام عليك يا وارث موسى كليم الله، السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله، السلام عليك يا وارث محمد حبيب الله، السلام عليك يا وارث علي أمير المؤمنين ولي الله، السلام عليك يا ابن محمد المصطفى، السلام عليك يا ابن علي المرتضى، السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء، السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى، السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور، أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وأطعت الله ورسوله حتى أتاك اليقين، فلعن الله أمة قتلتك، ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك، ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأصلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة، لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها ولم تلبسك من مدلهمات ثيابها، وأشهد أنك من دعائم الدين وأركان المؤمنين، وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الرضي الزكي الهادي المهدي، وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك كلمة التقوى وعلام الهدى والأروة الوثقى والحجة على أهل الدنيا،
وأشهد الله وملائكته وأنبياءه ورسله أني بكم مؤمن وبكم موقن بشرائع ديني وخواتيم عملي وقلبي لقلبكم سلم وأمري لأمركم متبع صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى أجسادكم وعلى أجسامكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى ظاهركم وعلى باطنكم. زيارة حضرة علي أكبر. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا ابن نبي الله، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا ابن الحسين الشهيد، السلام عليك أيها الشهيد وابن الشهيد، السلام عليك أيها المظلوم وابن المظلوم. لعن الله أمة قتلت، ولعن الله أمة ظلمت، ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. زيارة شهداء كربلاء. السلام عليكم يا أولياء الله وأحباءه، السلام عليكم يا أصفياء الله وأوداءه، السلام عليكم يا أنصار دين الله، السلام عليكم يا أنصار رسول الله، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليكم يا أنصار فاطمة سيدة النساء العالمين، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي محمد الحسن بن علي الولي الناصح، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي عبد الله. بأبي أنتم وأمي طبتم، وطابت الأرض التي فيها دفنتم، وفزتم فوزا عظيما. فيا ليتني كنت معكم فأفوز معكم. زيارة أبو الفضل العباس. السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك أيها العبد الصالح المطيع لله ولرسوله، وأشهد أنك قد جاهدت ونصحت وصبرت حتى أتاك اليقين. لعن الله الظالمين لكم من الأولين والآخرين، والحقكم بدرجك الجحيم. السلام عليك يا مولاي وابن مولاي، السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء، السلام عليك يا سلطان أبو الحسن علي بن موسى الرضا، ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان، السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن، السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان، السلام عليك يا مظهر الإيمان، السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. عجل الله تعالى فرجك، وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك. السلام عليك ورحمة الله وبركاته.
اللهم كل فريق حجة ابن حسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة، ولي وحافظ وقائد وناصر ودلينا وأعينا حتى تسكنه وروزك الوتوى وتمتعه فيها طويلا.
اللهم